I have so much respect and gratitude for being able to be here and be a little part of the legacy, and based on the legacy of Dr. King and others that founded the organization, that their strength and fortitude and wisdom is needed now more than ever.
Yes. Yes.
Because we thought Jim Crow was dead.
No.
He just got a little bit more sophisticated and changed his name to James Jr. And I feel like what we are witnessing is the second Reconstruction, and we are in the midst of it.
Yep.
So it's going to take all of us in order to be able to combat this.
Yeah.
Some of you have been around for the first iteration of this thing, and those of us that wasn't, we watched it, we saw it, we studied it. I know my question was, what would I have done during that particular time? Could I have withstood the fire hose? Could I have withstood the dog? Would I have fought back? Would I have looked into the nonviolence? Would I have joined the Black Panther Party? We had so many different opportunities and options. We are not a monolithic people. So we come in all shapes, sizes, and colors in all parts of the country. So I'm just looking and I'm seeing and I had a question. I just was scrolling and I ran across something and I got tickled. I don't know how many of you all used to watch or ever watched the Boondocks. It used to be my favorite. And I ran across an episode about Martin Luther King. And the episode was that he hadn't actually passed. He was in a coma. And when he woke up, it was 2010 or 2005 or something like that. And so they were going back about his legacy and what it looked like today and what he thought about it. And it just made me think, what would he think about today? What would he think about the war in Ukraine? What would he think about the war in Gaza? And what's so frightening to me now is that people are afraid to speak up. We can't even talk. When is it that it's been a punishment in America to be able to express yourself? That was one of the things that we were founded on, talk and disagreement, even if we agreed to disagree. Now everything is criminalized, sensationalized. So it just made me wonder, what would Martin do today? What would that look like? And like many of you, you've already served. You did your thing. You thought this thing was gone, but it's not. And it's gotten stronger. And we need you all to help us to be able to navigate this thing. And we need to be able to tap into your wealth of knowledge while you're still here. So it's I always think about my conversations with my grandmother. As y'all could tell, I used to run my mouth, and she used to always say, "Boy, you ever wonder why I gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth?" And sometimes you just need to shut up and listen.
Right.
Sometimes I wish I could go back and have that conversation and tell her, "Grandma, I'm listening." So I'm thankful to be here, and I just say all that to say the legacy of this organization is very important. Leadership is very important, and most importantly is love. We can conquer anything through love. Again, like I said, I'm a real estate appraiser of 38 years, so I'm a certified commercial appraiser. I know you all have seen a lot about the disparities in valuation, and they talk about appraisal bias. The appraisal industry will tell you that appraisal bias doesn't exist. I don't like to call it appraisal bias. I like to talk about undervaluation. Everybody has used appraisal bias to nauseam and don't really understand the appraisal process. But again, we're still waiting for everybody to get started. So what I wanted to do, because I get all down a rabbit hole, I wanted to introduce myself, tell you all a little about me. I started 2 organizations to combat appraisal bias and disparity. The original name of the organization was 10,000 Black Appraisers. And that's a for-profit appraisal company. And then the training arm, nonprofit, was 10,000 Minority Appraisers. Well, you know, everything black has been criminalized, so we rebranded to 10kba.com, and instead of the 10,000 Minority Appraisers Foundation, we're the 10,000 Appraisers Foundation. I was standing on principle and not going to change our name, but the climate and the way everything was moving, I decided to pivot to stay true. And it's not about me, it's about the collective. So that's one of the things that I'm always trying to be cognizant of what's going on. So what I would like to do, again, I'm from Cincinnati. I've been in Atlanta for 18 years. I'm a commercial real estate appraiser. I was the first black commercial real estate appraiser in Cincinnati in 1992. Ask me how many black commercial real estate appraisers there are in Cincinnati today.
10.
2. I'm still one of them, and I've been in Atlanta 18 years. So that just goes to speak to the disparity and the impact. I was there a couple of weeks ago, and people don't think about this. Now, can we have a conversation? We talked about appraisal bias, and you all are members of churches. Do you feel, and I'm going to show of hands, that there is a difference in value between 6.8 ounce blue-eyed, blonde-haired Jesus and bronze skin, hair like lamb's wool Jesus? Do you think it's a difference in value?
Yeah. Big deal.
Yes.
You want to know what that difference is?
Yeah.
$500 billion. Churches are undervalued by $500 billion. So that's a part of what I talk about today in reconsideration of value and being the most important tool in fighting appraisal discrimination. It's also the most important tool in building wealth, because we are about to experience the greatest transfer of wealth in history, over $100 trillion. Less than $3 trillion of that is going to be attributable to black and brown people. That number should be closer to 10 trillion, if not for redlining and racist valuation policies that started with the government, with redlining, and exacerbated with the Federal Highway and Transportation Department. They went through over 1,260 communities throughout the country, breaking them up. And the playbook is the same across the country. So I'm going to stop. I was supposed to be going around the room. So if we go around the room, here's what I want you to do with this exercise. Tell me where you're from, and tell me where the highway came through and split your community up. Sir?
My name is Stephen Nietzsche. I'm the Vice President of the SCLC in Roanoke, Virginia. The highway that went through Roanoke, and there's a book about it called Root Shock. It's 581. They tore up a black neighborhood, cemetery, churches, everything, built a civic center, and some other businesses.
So I was in Roanoke a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
And I spoke at a church, and I'm the lady who actually was one of the first people to ride the bus before Rosa Parks, was from Roanoke, and she got off. She was in the Army, and she was coming from D.C. to Washington, North Carolina, and they tried to make her go to the back of the bus, and she wouldn't do it. It was for a white Marine, and she was the first one to win a case against the government for busing discrimination. That was 55. One of those times, and there was is it Pastor McCullum? It was in Roanoke, and one of the other things that they did in Roanoke in Halifax County, and again this gets back to property valuation, was that the school system had a $2 million deficit. They had been misappropriating the property tax for the school levy for the ad valorem tax. They sued them. Now the school district has a $5 million surplus. So again, the only time we get high property values is when we paying property taxes, and we get disproportionate representation there. So you want me to come back to you, sir? You want?
No, I'm done. I do two things at one time. My name is Bishop Dr. Dennis Walker. I'm the presiding bishop over AIM International Fellowship. We have 387 churches nationally and 4 in Canada. I'm also the president of the Detroit chapter of SCLC.
Detroit chapter?
Detroit chapter.
Okay.
I have my own coding studio, promotion company, and bus transportation company.
Okay. Nice.
And the freeway.
Wait, which one came through there?
It was 375. They tore up the freeway that was called Black Bottom. And they tore the freeway up and everything and moved the blacks out of that area because, number one, it was too close to the downtown area. Not only that, a lot of people think when you say Black Bottom that they moved the blacks out of the neighborhood because basically they was black. No, they moved them out of the neighborhood because they wanted that soil. They wanted that soil and because it was so rich. So they wanted to do that. So they had to have a reason for them to dig up and get all that rich soil. So they had to build a freeway through there in order for them to have, for them to be able to do that. Then they had the Paradise Valley, which is an area where football and baseball stadium sits at. That's where the black businesses was at. And they tore all of that up and we moved them. And matter of fact, I have the book on the book. It's called Paradise Valley Days.
I love it if you could share that with me at some point, because Detroit has a lot of rich history. And when I talked about Ayers property, Detroit is one of the places where they're still doing a lot of gentrification and Ayers property, because when everybody left south, they went north to Detroit to the jobs. So you had a lot of home ownership there. And now the city is doing different things, and there's a lady there that is really fighting hard, Joyce Jennings. She's running independently for mayor. So thank you. I love to be able to get everybody's information before.
And also, I was the president of the Detroit Writers Guild.
Okay.
So that's why we wrote that book and put the pictures and everything of the people from way back in the day that people have gave us, family members have gave us. In that book is where you go on Amazon and get the book.
So if you're in Detroit and you're a writer, you got to know Pulitzer Prize winner Melvin Claxton.
You better know.
That's one of my dear friends. And why Melvin is so significant, and he could be significant to all of you all, and if you want to Google it, he has an app called the Itty Bitty Book app. And so with the Itty Bitty Book app, I told you about our students that went to the Forest Service this summer. With the Itty Bitty Book app, you can write your own book, and it's for kids, but it's for adults too. It's very, very simplistic. And what I would like for you all to do is use the Itty Bitty Book app when you are at the family reunion, recording the family history. Everybody can send it and link it. You can have a book thing, because we got to tell our stories. So after the potato salad contest, the drop it like it's hot contest, we need to have a business meeting. I know we don't want nobody in our business, but somebody has to be able to carry on the legacy. Right now is Will and Heirs Month. Over 70% of black folks do not have wills or trusts or estates. So when we start talking about property loss, we lose over $100 billion a year because we don't have wills and estates in heirs property. All right, young lady, it's your turn.
Thank you.
Can somebody find some turkey bacon for her? Because there wasn't no turkey bacon this morning. So I think in the next planning session, everybody don't eat pork. So I'm sorry, I just wanted to make that commercial for you.
My name is Connie Goodley LaCour. I am from New Orleans. And you said some things just now that made me rethink what I was going to say. I am one of 10 children. My dad was one of 14. And in just a week from now, we're going to do just what you talked about. My dad's 10 children, and some of us are deceased now. But all of our, I'm saying dependents, because they are dependents, a lot of them for me. But anyway, all of my dad's kids grandchildren, great-grandkids. We are going to meet. My brother has been working on our family ancestry now for years. He says, I spent more than 100 hours because we need to know our history. We need to know where we came from, and now before you know where you're going, you need to know where you came from. So we are going to meet. We're going to take a ride in the areas that we grew up in. I grew up, if any of you know about New Orleans, I basically grew up in the Treme. The Treme is right before you get to the French Quarters. If you know anything about Claiborne, North Claiborne Street, I grew up between North Claiborne and the Treme. When I grew up, it was predominantly black area. Today, after Hurricane Katrina, if you go into that neighborhood now,
You don't even know it.
we have more and more whites now that are inhabiting that neighborhood. So my brother wants my younger brothers, my younger sisters, my grandkids, and all to see exactly where we came from, the churches we attended, the schools we attended, you know, and he also wants us to meet each other. Because, as I said, we had a big family. A lot of my cousins and all, they moved to California. So my children don't even know them. And I'm not going to talk about my dads, the 14 of them, because I didn't know my aunts and uncles. I only knew one of my grandparents, and that was my mother's mother. I never knew my dad's dad, my dad's mother, nor my mother's father. So we want to make certain that our children, for those of us who are sitting here, that we know who they are, and then we always having some type of activities. We're finding out as a family, we have photographers, we want to do videography, we have photographers, we have videography, we have dentists, we have obstetricians, we have surgeons, and people need to know all this, know who we are, so that if we are planning something, that hey, we got somebody that possibly can do that for us. And again, we, you know, our churches, some of our churches go there. One thing that Barack Obama did for us after Hurricane Katrina, he gave us billions of dollars to rebuild our schools. So we have top-notch schools. I'm not talking about the performance now. I'm talking about the physical facilities are very nice in the city. So it's
So thank you. I think that is really important because we ain't nobody coming to save us. And you can see that we can't count on the government. Again, this is a new reconstruction. The government as we know it, at Department of Education, benefits, we got to depend on each other, and we have to start with our families, and we have to tell these stories. And what she just said is a prime example of heirs property, because typically, if some of the ancestors thought that if they didn't leave it to nobody, then everybody would be able to keep it. Nothing could be further from the truth, because if you don't have an estate, you have a fractional interest. Now, I don't have a lot of money, but this is $1. And if I tear this dollar up, well, here, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give you a piece. I'm going to give you a piece of it. I'm going to give you a piece, and I'm going to give you a piece. Now, how much do you think those pieces are that I gave them worth?
Nothing till you put them together.
Absolutely. So that's what happens with heirs property. You get a fractionalized interest, and you're not able to transfer the property. If you have a disaster, you can't get a disaster loan or anything, any relief from the government, because you have to have a farm number or you have to have a clear title. So everybody, but if I come back and I buy so this worth 25 cents supposedly, but I'm gonna give you a nickel. So you want the nickel or you want to keep holding on to nothing?
No, you better give me that nickel.
So I'm gonna give you a nickel. Now, with that nickel, I done bought into your family. Now I can force you, and you to sell. Now, do you want a nickel, or I'll give you a nickel for your piece. You're gonna hold on. Well, I'm gonna force you to go to court. So So then that's what happens. You have what's called a forced sale, and so then we end up losing value because, for one, we don't know what the property is worth to begin with. So, and typically when it comes to us, it's going to be undervalued. That's just the numbers. That's not trying to make anything up. And if you talk about the appraisal industry, they'll tell you that bias doesn't exist. So I started these organizations because there was nobody advocating for us in the space for valuation, and there was nobody advocating for us in the space as far as representation. So part of the numbers are over 65% of all appraisers are over 50 years old, less than 7% are under 35. Those demographics are the same for farming. Over 65 and less than 7%. Over 95% white and less than 1% black. In 1920, there was over 2 million, or 1 million black farmers. Today, there's less than 30,000. So the farming and appraising are the two least diverse professions in the country. They're 1 and 2. They have the highest impact, though, on wealth generation and food sovereignty. We have to get back to the land. So we do a lot of advocating, and the church is the largest black landholder in the country. So we have to. Nobody is coming to save us. We used to depend on each other before we drunk the colonial Kool-Aid. So we have to be able to get back. You know, everybody got a big house and moved north or moved to the suburbs. Now, not only you got to pay for that house and gas, you got to pay for daycare. You used to be able to drop them off over Big Mama house. So that's a misnomer. So we're going to keep this going. I only got an hour, but we're going to I don't even got to announce yourself. Miss Morning from Maryland. She was with you. Now, I know you had a meeting with Biden. Have you had a meeting with Trump?
That went in spam. Like, no. But this estate situation. Now, oh, by the way, I have to make a disclosure. I am a real estate agent, have been for 42 years. And I also worked in law for over 40 years. So this estate is basically state-oriented as far as the laws are concerned.
Yep, from the Uniform Property Partition Act. That's something that's been, and it varies from state to state. So you have to engage an attorney in your state, and don't just get any attorney. You want to get an attorney that specializes in heirs property or probate.
And that's the problem, that you say you lose things. We have that problem. We will say, oh, I have an attorney. Well, I worked at one of the biggest corporate law firms in the country, okay? And the attorneys used to come to me when they had questions about real estate. And they said, because you study real estate law, you have to continue to be a realtor. He said, that's not my specialty. So I come to you and ask you, how do I do this? What is this about? So when we as African Americans, we will say, I have a lawyer, but is it a lawyer that specializes in what your problem is? Because if he doesn't, guess what? You just well as have a kid out there representing you, because they don't know. So you need to make sure it's a lawyer that specializes in estates, in probate, title work.
Yep.
They know how to do all this, because actually there's a lot of properties still sitting out there vacant, because guess what? The state can't take it. The laws have changed, and someone from the family, be it a cousin or whatever, can come in and prove that they are relative, then they can actually take possession.
Yeah, you don't even have to well, they just now starting some legislation here where you have to have an ID before you file a claim on a piece of property. So that's not everywhere. So again, we do education and advocacy, and we like to bring exposure. So let me do some self-promotion here. You can go to our website, 10kba.com. We like to keep it real simple. I got a radio show that's coming out called Thaddaus Dawson Speaks, Liberation Through Valuation, where soul meets soil. That'll be 88.3, and then you can get to it online. And why that's so important and that's so significant is part of the Southwest Project in Southwest Georgia, and it was fun. That project is a part of, they own the radio station, and it's Sherrod Farms, and it's a public radio station. I don't know if you all are familiar with Charles and Shirley Sherrod. They're civil rights giants as well. And one of the things that Pastor Sherrod used to say is, power is in the land.
That's right.
But ultimate power is in God. So when we start looking at, I think the racism is just a charade. It's all about the power and controlling the land. And we make and spend enough money to be the 4th largest nation. So, I mean, we have the resources. We just have to pull them together and have a direction. And so, again, back to legacy and the organization, that's the significance. And it's going to take all of us. It's going to take, and it's got to be intergenerational. The young folks got the energy, they got the technology, and they have the lack of fear. And we just have to be able to give them some guidance. And maybe put some headphones on, because we can't take all that hibbity-dibbity. Well, at least I'm a hip-hop head, but I don't like that mumble rap. So, again, it's an intergenerational sort of deal. And in my classes, you know, I love interacting with the young folks because we argue about rap. I tell them their music is garbage. And so one of the things I like to talk about, and we hear, so if I say fight the power to y'all, most of y'all, like my dad, he gonna think about the Isley Brothers. Yeah. So if I'm talking about fight the power, I'm talking about Public Enemy, Chuck D, and Flavor Flav. Now they have a new fight the power, which I really love, where they feature Colin Kaepernick and some of the younger rappers and Nas and a couple others. So again, it's intergenerational, and it's space for all of us. And it's going to take all of us. We are under attack. And so everybody has something that they specialize in and that they do well. For me, my ministry is appraising. You can trick me on pretty much anything, but appraising, you can't get me. I know that inside out, 10 ways of Sunday. So when they say there's a disparity in valuation, I can help you be able to combat that. And we're not accusing them of racism and undervaluation. With the reconsideration of value, it's the most fair process that there is. Now, it's been rescinded. They rescinded it with this current administration in March as part of the PAVE initiative that was put out by the last initiative. And how it was implemented was really not as effective as it could be, because even today, it still puts the burden of proof back on you, the homeowner, when you're not an appraiser. So you need somebody to help you objectively make that argument for you. And part of the thing about appraising, that really 90% of it is really just bad appraising. It's not the bias. The system is outdated and antiquated. So it's not using modern technology. So one of the things that we've also done is we are helping to usher in a new era with evidence-based, data-driven analysis, where you take the subjectivity out. And so another reason reconsideration of value is important is because there's about to be a new appraisal form coming out at the beginning of the year. Appraisers don't even know how to use the new dynamic form, and they say it's modernizing the appraisal process. I would disagree. What it's modernizing is the ability to collect data and use it automatically. It is somewhat of an improvement, but it's about as improved as you going home and taking a shower and putting the same clothes back on. Are you fresher? Yeah, a little bit, but you know, to really be clean, you need to put some new clothes on, and the process is a little bit convoluted. So I know you from New Orleans, but we're gonna speed this up. Can I get everybody to keep where they're from and where the highway came to 2 minutes? So we can, because I'm
going to save time by not standing up. My name is Reverend Van, and I serve with SCLC New Orleans. Where we are, there are two streets in Louisiana, that's Claiborne and Canal. If you get to any one of those streets, you will never get lost. In any event, when Claiborne came through, it was an oak-lined street. And when they put the highway in, all the oaks disappeared and basically separated the riverside from the lakeside. And Canal Street separated the French side from the English side. So streets served as a barrier. I had some more, but I'm going to just stop because you asked.
So, but other thing I'd like for you all to do is go to our website and submit your stories about where the highway came through your city and separated. So that's 10kba.com, 10kba.com. And thank you for that. And I need to see some of that in New Orleans. I'm going to be in New Orleans on Friday next week. I'm speaking at Neighbor Works National Convention. So is the family reunion next week? I can slide through for some beignets. It's some gum. Okay, I'm there. You know, I speak Saturday at I think 10 o'clock. So what time the reunion start?
Give us a call.
Okay, all right.
I am a member of SCLC from New Orleans for a very long time. This is my president, and I'm originally from Tylertown, Mississippi.
Oh, okay.
My family, my aunt, my grandfather's sister was a slave. She was a breeder. She had 24 children as a slave, and she quit counting. Then after that, she jumped the broom, and her and another slave got married, and they had 7 boys and 1 daughter.
7 more.
7 more.
7 boys and 1 daughter.
Oh, Lord.
So that's 30. We're up to 31 now.
And, yeah.
Okay.
And she had some in between, but she quit counting. And she could read the Bible without glasses, and she had some of her own teeth in her mouth, and she was 113. And she would never ride inside the car, because if something happened, she couldn't jump out. But she would ride on the back of a pickup truck, so if anything happened, she could always jump out. And she never wore clothes in shoes. And she would go to church, she would walk barefooted. And when she get to the church, she would dust her feet. She had a towel on her shoulder. She would dust her feet off and put her feet under the chair, and she'd be praising the Lord. And her feet were so old because she was 113. And
She had 31 kids and she made it to 113?
Yeah, made 113, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that deserves a praise clap, right? I need that story, so I need you to go to the website and send me that one. Thank you for sharing that too.
I'm with Dr. Van and Ms. Swallows, and member of the SCLC. I'm new to the group. And so anyway, I come from New Orleans too, but my family, my mother had 20 kids also. And so, so we come from a big family too, but also I'm on the outside, I'm in Jefferson Parish. He's there in New Orleans, but I'm the one from Jefferson. And when you talk about separating, Earhart Express came through our little town and took our playground. We had, a beautiful playground, but Earhart came from Orleans. They took away our playground and went all the way to Kenner. And also next to the house that my father built in 1945. Thank God I still live in this little house, but they want it, but they can't have it. Because I have consumed it, I have researched it, I have did everything I can. They want this house, but they're not here.
So thank you. And that's another thing that we also do in some research. So it's called heritage value. And there's a spiritual.
So what they're doing in that neighborhood, they went to a lot of other neighbors from a long time ago, and people was, I'm gonna call them silly, stupid. They sold out for like $20,000 on their properties.
Wow.
So what can I do with $20,000? So I stand firm on that property that I'm at, because I know one day it's gonna be worth some money.
Well, we stand with you, and that's a part of it. When they come through our communities, over 70% of all eminent domain cases in the country were against black people.
Exactly.
Why is it that our neighborhoods are always primed to be taken over?
And so they want to build, like they building these, what you call warehouses, they want to make it a warehouse. But I know it's worth money because why are y'all doing this here, you know, but this one section where my father's house was built at, is a corner house also, and plus it was a railroad, track there a long time, so they took that up. So they probably thought they was gonna defeat us by doing what they did, but I'm the baby in the family, and I'm standing strong.
Oh, well, you keep on standing, and we're going to stand with you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Marilyn Ford, and I'm going to be real brief because I've seen 3 different cities devastated. So I'm from Arkansas, and I'm like your grandma. I rode in the back of the wagon and shoes and all that. New York City is one. Moses, the Bronx, and separated. The Bronx ran through the city of New York. St. Louis, I saw it. But I want to say something about what she said. How many of you all heard about the tornado that hit St. Louis about a month ago? Okay. I'm from St. Louis. My dad was a preacher, pastor, and bishop in St. Louis. I go back to St. Louis all the time now. What people don't know is that the inner city of St. Louis, which is primarily African American, has almost been completely wiped off of the map.
Yep.
Now, so you say, what's that got to do with this presentation? I'm in St. Louis, in the inner city of St. Louis. I'm sitting in my mom's house. Everything around her is down. And what's happening? Developers are coming in, knocking on people's doors, literally saying, we will give you a check right now. Those houses, if you look, some don't have a roof, some have 2 walls. Most of the homes that were there were intergenerational homes, great-grandparents, grandparents, children. And guess what they didn't have? Any insurance.
Wow.
They cannot rebuild, they can't go anywhere, and developers are knocking on the door. I have to get you to St. Louis because I needed to stop. My mom owns a 4-family flat across the street. She owns her home across the street behind her. Most of the homes are 2 walls, nothing. If you fly over St. Louis now, you look down, all you see is rubble. And they're now trying to buy up the inner city because those highways, Natural Bridge, 70, the long-term plan, I don't know what it is because I live in Connecticut now, but I'm sure there's some long-term plan to go back and reclaim the inner city of St. Louis the way they did Harlem.
There's always a long-term plan because they playing offense and they're planning ahead. We're always playing defense and in a reactionary position. So we have a series that we tour the country with called Outside the Barn. And the 5 principles that we stand on Outside the Barn are reconsideration of value, heirs property, careers in farming and agriculture, where, that was another thing that we've done in the last couple of years. We have the only appraisal apprenticeship program in the country certified through the U.S. Department of Labor. However, we didn't get the funding. Our funding got cut. So I told the kids, I'm going to get out here and run my mouth and go get the money. Y'all do y'all. We gonna make this happen. So after I quit crying, I did what my daddy always used to say when he used to make me go to work. I used to be mad, and I started crying. So you through crying? Well, let's go to work, and we gonna sweat, because sweat and tears made out of the same material. And so after I quit crying about our grants and stuff, we repositioned and repurposed, and now we're offering reconsideration of value across the country, and we're doing appraisals for black churches, well, all churches, but churches and farmers. But that's how we're going to generate revenue, as well as me and having speaking engagements. So my superpower is, if you invite me, I will show up.
I'll give it to you, some of the largest, oldest churches in the city are against it.
So so the church has untapped power. So one of the things the other things that we do in our Outside the Barn series is talk about development, intergenerational, faith-based mixed-use development. And so we can have, if it's a smaller setting, we can have garden beds. And on the garden beds, we like to put 2x6, because just in case, y'all, not y'all, but me, my hips and back, I can't get down like I used to, but I can sit down and play in the dirt. And so, and that works in an urban setting in case you have soil contamination. And what my vision is for these developments are, and just say we had a 40 acres. So we can build housing around, and we can have HOA fees. And we could use 20 acres, and we could use HOA fees to pay a farm manager. So now we got fresh farm to table. So we can improve our food, our health, but also we can use, when I talked about Charles and Shirley Sherrod, they formed the first land trust in the country, because Pastor Sherrod was a part of SNCC, and as he went and started signing folks up to vote in Albany, Georgia, they got kicked off of their land. They didn't have anywhere to go. So they went to Israel and studied the kibbutz, communal living. They came back to Georgia and bought 6,600 acres. And they kept it for several years, 15, 20 years. And then there was a disaster. It was a drought. And they weren't able to get funding and relief. It took 3 years. They still didn't get it. Everybody else got it. And they ended up losing the property for $100,000. The very next day, Prudential lent the buyer $1 million. So the property was worth $5 million. They were part of the first Pickford lawsuit settlement. They won $15 million approximately. And they came back and bought 1,600 acres, which they still farm or today and have a cooperative. But you see, they went from 6,600 to 1,600. That's called velocity of money. And you start to lose. Those are the opportunities of growth and development that we lose. And the biggest thing that we can do now to preserve that wealth is reconsideration of value. Now, we got a few more minutes. We're going to get around the room. We didn't have a thing, so my presentation, but we going to get here. Ma'am?
I'm Pamela Beck now. I was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio.
I'm sorry. I'm from Cincinnati. I'm so sorry. My apologies that you was born in Cleveland.
I now live in Mexico because of health problems. But in Cleveland, there was a railroad that separated us. And it wasn't a railroad that ran on the ground. It was a railroad that was lifted up.
Mm-hmm.
And one side was black, and the closest to us was what they called Little Italy. And the Italians would come up on this bridge and throw rocks down on us because we were down. So they started tearing down the houses, the black houses.
Mm-hmm.
I
wrote an article on LinkedIn last week and got several different responses. I'll test it out with you all real quick so we can keep it going. However, I said, what if the NFL offered a reconsideration of value? What would Shedeur Sanders' draft position be today? They devalued him to a 5th-round draft pick. And my wife says, everybody don't know about sports. But anyway, everybody know about Shedeur. So they devalued him to a 5th-round draft pick. But yet and still, they talk about him every single day since the camp. And he has the #1 selling jersey in football. Right. And he has a clause in his contract that has never been seen in the NFL. Where he owns all of his likeness and image, and he gets to share in the revenue. So because of his jersey, he's made $14 million. So again, there is a paradigm shift. Things are changing. We have to change. We have to evolve, and it has to be intergenerational. And all of the guff, all of the disenfranchisement, even the owner came out last week and said he didn't want him. That wasn't really necessary, but what I'm so impressed about is the way he's handled it. You haven't heard him complain. He just put his head down and went to work. That don't come from nobody. His daddy been preparing him for this his whole entire life. So that's the value of having a father. That's the value of being prepared. And the opportunity, I tell my students all the time, opportunity is never going to be an opportunity unless you're in a position to take advantage of it. And your talents are always going to make a position for you. So you have to be prepared. We have to be prepared. Again, I tell our students that all the time. We got to be prepared. When I first started appraising, I used to complain to my dad. Dad, they're racist. They're giving me the worst assignments. They send me the worst place. He says, boy, shut up and put your head down and go to work. When the easy stuff comes, you're going to be ready. It took a while, but I think I'm ready. So, and I just wanted to, because of where you're from and because of how important it is, but this play isn't new. We have to talk and we have to communicate, and we got to get back to trusting each other. We can't do it individually, collectively. We can only go as far as any one of us go, and I think, again, that gets back to the legacy and spirit of this organization. Yes, sir?
I just want to say, to Marilyn point, your point earlier, I had a chance to spend about 6 weeks in Hawaii and Maui after the fire. And the same thing, because there were lots of homes right along the ocean, and folks came writing checks. and undervaluating what those folks' houses were really worth. And we have folks who don't have insurance, and they say, well, we'll give you $150,000 right now. Well, yes.
It's about that, like I tore that dollar up. You want the $5 or you want to hold out for the quarter? Yeah.
Because they have nowhere to go. People are saying, you don't need to Google the tornadoes and those because the media did not cover it. People are still living in the parks, and the churches are feeding them on Sunday morning, and they're going in, taking showers, dressing, whatever. When you get out, just Google tornado St. Louis. It is not being covered.
Okay, thank you.
I serve with a national disaster group. The name's not important. But I've been from Guam to Virgin Islands, and in my other travels from Alabama to Zimbabwe, the same thing is happening. I don't know if they have a playbook or something. They go to it and do the exact same thing. There's a disaster.
Well, I mean, if you just think about recently, it was talking about making Gaza a resort. And so, you know, the playbook is going to be the same all over the world. Unless you go to Burkina Faso and you have a young, strong leader like Ibrahim Traore. So let me not digress. Sir, you.
Good morning. I'm McKinley Hayes from Prince George's County, Maryland, member of SCLC. And I prefer to ask questions to our president out of respect, Dr. Mooney, about the bad line.
So what's so interesting is in Maryland is the professors from Johns Hopkins just recently lost their appraisal, discrimination appraisal bias case 2 weeks ago. The whole appraisal profession is like, see, I told you, there is no appraisal bias. I'm like, one case?
Amen.
I got 1 million cases, and I travel the country hearing stories like this, and they say that y'all making these stories up, and it's all about trying to get some money and sensationalize and try to take advantage. And I list and say, these are real people, and these are real impacts. And I hear the stories, and you like to talk about it from a pontificate, from a privileged position. And they always want to know, well, how do you know so many people? I meet the people where they are. I'm coming to you, you know, and because I care. And it's something that I've been blessed to be able to do. Has it come at a cost? Absolutely. It's come at a cost, but I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I would rather answer to God than answer to them. So the whole appraisal profession right now is in Las Vegas at the Valuation Expo. And so everybody was asking me, why didn't I go? Because it's more important that I'm here with you all. And I told them a long time ago, I'm not begging for a seat at the table. I'm trying to make a table for us. And everybody is welcome, but I want to be intentional about the table that I'm trying to create. And it's not about what I can do. It's about how I can make a difference. And so we have to get out of being self-serving and having self-serving leadership. And again, it's back to the legacy of this organization. Dr. King, he gave his life. I'm 59 years old. None of my heroes saw 40. Jesus, Martin, Medgar, Pac, Biggie, you name them. Nipsey, you know, we can go on and on. So if we keep talking about me, there is no me without us. So we need a mind shift. We need and I've been blessed to be able to meet some giants. I'm blessed to be able to meet Reverend Shuttlesworth. Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth Jr. was my 8th grade English teacher. Him and my father graduated from high school together. I met Mr. Shuttlesworth. He had to be 65. This is when I appraised his church twice, and the fence was locked. And he hopped the fence. This fence was like 6. I think at the time I might have been late 20s. I'm like, man, you go right ahead. He had to go around and unlock the door. But just to be able to meet all of these legends, and for me to, when I get tired, I don't get tired because we still got a lot of work to do. And right now, we need all hands on deck. And we need everybody. The young folks need to know these stories. They need to know what the SCLC is, what the SCLC was. And there's room for new organizations to be created. Because again, the fight is not over. It's just got more sophisticated. It's using data science. It's using different types of media. So we need some different types of strategies. And we need to know what didn't work. What would you have changed? What would you have done differently? How do we make that relevant to today? Because again, education is being destroyed. Employment is being destroyed. I mean, right now, we're looking at a big recession. New cars are not selling. They're sitting on lots. Office buildings, who's going to work? They're vacant. And they're about to, all of those notes are coming due. And when they bought those buildings, they bought them at 2 and 3% interest, and they were 80 to 90% occupied. Now the interest rate's 7 to 8%, and it's 50% occupied. That math ain't mathing, and it's going to impact any and everything. So what are we going to do? How are we going to be able to survive? We are living intergenerationally anyway, because if you look at real estate and housing, you got 2 and 3 generations qualifying just for a loan so they can have space. And in my opinion, if you listen to economist Bill Cunningham, and he's a friend of the SCLC, he's done several conventions with me. It would take 500 years to close the wealth gap. That's really not going to happen in our lifetime. We lose close to $1 trillion a year in undervaluation. That's $200 billion a year in real estate, $100 billion a year in heirs property. Black farmers lose $100 billion a year, and the church loses $500 billion a year. It'll only take $200 billion to close the poverty gap. So it's really about improving wealth, closing the poverty gap, and first and foremost, improving food sovereignty and having a better quality of life. We can't worry about the wealth gap when our bellies are touching our backs. So again, it's back to the earth, growing, improving our health, intergenerational. We can do it on several different levels and collectively. Sir, behind you, it's your turn.
I'm the symbol of Great Memphis, Tennessee. The interstate that came through was I-240 and destroyed our community in 1957.
Darrell Harrington. I was born in Jackson, Mississippi, but I live in Memphis, Tennessee now. It was 220 that separated the downtown from southeast Jackson, Mississippi. But the question is, just quickly, there's a book, The Color of Law, by Richard Rothstein. We talk about the issues, and the issues are 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. We know that land was being devalued and stolen at that time. But we keep talking about the problem, it's ever present, but where is the solution and the strategy to actually, I'm 49, I'm probably one of the youngest in this room, and Project 2025 is real, and it's been going on for the last 50, 60, 70 years. We have to have a plan so that we can move beyond just talking about the problem. I digress.
So one of our pillars are reconsideration of value. That's to protect the wealth that we've already established. Heirs property, wills and trusts, that again protects the property we already established. Careers in farming and agriculture and modernizing, that's giving us workforce development. We have an appraisal apprenticeship program. We're teaching data science as well as drones. So you can get an A107 drone training license. You can use drones to do inspections. You can use drones for farming. You can use drones to pick crops. So you got to give the kids something. So that's giving them workforce development. Then we also have aquaponics and hydroponics and urban farming. So with urban farming, again, you can grow and improve your food quality, improve your life. We have I teach an entrepreneurial class at Best Academy here. So we have a 500 square foot container farm that it will be up in the next month or so. Probably costs about $500,000, Georgia Power sponsored, but we'll be able to produce 120 pounds of leafy green vegetables a week. And this school is right in the middle of a food desert. So kids will be able to take food home, teachers will be able to take food home, and we'll be able to sell the access to the community or offer it to the community. We have some strategies that we can do and we can implement. And as far as those farms, you can have a small farm in your backyard and get a farming number from the USDA. So there's opportunity for different conservation practices as well. And then our fifth component is policy. We gotta vote, we gotta advocate. They are eviscerating our rights right in front of our face in real time. So we have to be strategic. We have to pull together. We have to see how these things impact our community. So you are absolutely right. So these are the things that we, as the SCLC, as the churches, as we go back home across the country, there's opportunities for us to start. We can't keep reacting. We have to, again, be proactive. So your point is very well made. Rick, you part of the family. You here. Come on, tell us what.
Most of them already see me here at SCLC. Which I'm Rick Clare, moved down here from Indiana. I taught school for 33 years, media production, public relations. And I'm not going to tell any more about me. I moved into Auburn Avenue. I've got great stories there from interviewing older gentlemen sitting on the streets 10 years ago, 12 years ago, who lived in that and been a part of the total destruction of the Auburn Avenue area because of the freeway that came through. But what I will say, I get to work with a lot of civil and human rights organizations, and this last 8 months with Thaddaus. Go to his website, look at it, because I can tell you, he accomplishes, turn your ears off, he accomplishes more in the last 6 months than I've seen a lot of people do forever. He is determined, he is honest, and not only is he helping people build wealth from the dirt under their feet, but young people. Look at his internship program that the Labor Department did. Yes, Trump cut funding and everything for that, but it's fabulous, and they need young appraisers of all kinds, especially minority, and he's making that happen. So follow him. It's the true thing.
Here, Rick, let me go ahead and go take care of
you. You tore my dollar into 4 pieces already.
I got a whole one for you. But Rick has been tremendous. I couldn't do this without Rick, and he produces our podcast, the Thaddaus Dawson 10KBA podcast. He'll be the producer on the radio show, Thaddaus Dawson Speaks, Liberation Through Valuation, where soul meets soil. And so we recorded our first episode last week where I was speaking for an hour, and I didn't like it. It was supposed to come on this Monday. And then I'm speaking for the next couple of weeks. I'll be in North Carolina, New Orleans. So we pushed it back to September the 1st. So if you all join in to WUTU 88.3, you'll be able to get it online. We can't sell advertising, but we can accept sponsorship. So we got a QR code and all of that good stuff. So the other voice that you'll hear on the radio show will be Rick. We'll be having a conversation and interacting, so I'm not just running my mouth. And Rick is actually hilarious. So he gives me a lot of information and insight on how they think, what they think, why they think, and we just talk and laugh. And I'm very grateful that he has chosen me to be able to work with. I can't afford to pay him near what he deserves or anything at that matter, but he. I told him I didn't have no money. He said, what you're doing is so important. I will continue to work with you. But, I mean, everything, when we get it, so he is outstanding. And I met him at an SCLC event, and I just really love and appreciate him and am very thankful and grateful for him. So I'm not here without him and the tremendous work that he does and believing in our mission. Brother, yes. Oh, you already, I was going, but no, I didn't mean to skip you. We come back to you, Miss Morning. We're going to come back to you.
Well, greetings, everyone. Greetings. Good to be here. My name is Tinkose, and I am from Maryland. I'm here on invite with the SCLC PG Maryland chapter by Jen. And I am here learning. There's some things that I haven't heard before. I'm a recent graduate from Oakland University. I study broadcast journalism and theology. And I currently work in Maryland as an advocate for juveniles. I go to juvenile centers and I talk to them about this type of information. And I'm an artist as well, so I do that through music. But yeah, it's a blessing and pleasure to be here with you guys. And I'm just here to absorb and to give where I can.
Thank you. Ms. Morton?
I think I said 30%.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me help. You okay? You want me?
No, you're fine.
Okay, all right. We gonna move a little fast. Miss Morton, you go ahead. Yes,
Dr. Joseph E. Morning, Prince George's County, Maryland, and the Washington, D.C. area, president of the SCLC. Grateful to be here, grateful that this subject is being discussed. But we also have to be very careful about those appraisals. Because back in 2005 to 2008, when the housing crisis happened, what happened was the appraisal. The appraisals were appraising the property for too much money. And they were being paid off by realtors and homeowners to up the value of the property. And so who got caught in that? People of color. Because what happened was, now they were put into these predatory loans. And the predatory loans, they had 3 loans on one property. They had 2 loans. They had fancy stuff, 80, 10, 15. People didn't know what it was. I talked to attorneys that I had to do short sales for. They said, well, I'm an attorney. How did this happen to me? Because you didn't know real estate. You did not read you didn't know what it was saying. So we have to be careful. It's good that we acquire the wealth. And I can understand about the appraisal because I've had to fight appraisals myself. But we also got to be careful how we let it get appraised up so high that we're underwater and it will never be worthwhile.
but the lenders were very, very complicit and at the forefront of that, putting a lot of pressure on the appraisers, and they looked at us as marginal and profitability. So Wells Fargo in particular, they funded all of them. So all of them were under consent orders constantly from the Justice Department. Now, that was with affirmative action. Now, what does it look like without affirmative action? So to your point, we have to educate, we have to advocate, and we have to put pressure on the lenders to put folks in decent spaces. And that's part of my frustration when I'm in front of those organizations and they try to pee down my back and tell me it's raining and all the stuff that they want to do that's good, that's not, and it's performative instead of actually making a difference. So we have the ability as an organization, as our churches, to educate our people, to be able to make sure that they're looked at as food, and that's what tends to happen. But you are absolutely 100% right, and that's what we want to be able to get out and bring exposure to this. So we have power. We can choose where we take our money as Target. We can choose what lender. If you're not going to treat us right, but we have to be intentional and we have to be direct and we have to make sure we get what we need. And so that's why we are here to be able to help in that process.
But also, when the Justice Department settled the lawsuits with the 5 big banks, the other thing that our people didn't do, that I did, and I tried to tell everybody about it that I could. Do you know that we got settlements from that? I got $147,000.
But everybody didn't know?
Everybody I knew. Look, you are entitled to money. You could call the bank and everything and say, I had a loan with you, especially the countrywide people. Because what happened, Bank of America was so strong. It wasn't Bank of America doing all of this, but they were so strong. The federal government told Bank of America, look, countrywide has hurt all these people. And they hurt people, mostly of color, with loans. So Bank of America, you know what we want you to do? We want you to take Countrywide over. They're gonna be a part of you. So Bank of America agreed to bring Countrywide under them. So where you had Countrywide, you never had Bank of America. And everyone was like, Bank of America is a bad firm. It was Countrywide, but they had to acquire it because the government forced them.
So who was that? Was from St. Louis. I was just reading the other day where Wells Fargo is putting a branch in St. Louis, and they're doing it in a couple places. I know Fifth Third is doing it in Cincinnati, and in a couple of places where now they're bringing lending institutions into our neighborhood, and they want to attaboy for doing what they should have already been doing. And I equivocated to putting the pyromaniac at the end of the fire hose and talking about he saved us. So it's those things that we need to educate and keep moving forward and make sure that that information does get out. So we, as a SCLC, as our churches, as our community leaders, need to move that forward. Yes, sir.
I'm Bill McGee, president of the SCL chapter in Richmond, Virginia, historic Richmond, Virginia. I-95 that all of you are going up and down from time to time through Richmond went through the historic Jackson Ward area. The Harlem of the South at the time. It also went through Navy Hill. Then I-195, my wife was here a minute ago, went right through a section of the West End and took out another half of the black neighborhood there. So what you're saying is true. Now, let me quickly, real quick. Brother Shiraz, that you mentioned.
Yes, sir.
Of course, he's from Virginia, right? He went to Virginia Union University.
Okay.
So Andy was a member of SNCC and SCLC early on. Charles Sherrod was one of our forefathers. Also, the second is, I'm a member of St. Paul's Baptist Church with Lance Watson as the pastor. And we are building the City of Possibilities, 321 acres of home. We paid off our mortgage on the 3,500 seat church. And now we're building 321 acres of homes, businesses, apartments, and everything. And it's throwing everybody in that county in a tizzy. Black folk not supposed to be able to wield this kind of power.
But we'd love to be able to come up and assist. And Pastor Marquita Brooks is in Richmond, yes. And I just spoke at her conference a couple of weeks ago, and so she'll be in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, with me this week speaking as well. So we'd love to be able to assist you any way that we can and look forward. Wait, did everybody get a chance to sign the sign-in sheet?
He did.
Okay.
Yeah,
pass that around. I'd like everybody to sign because we want. Oh, well, here, let me give you another one. And then also, I'll circulate this. This is a reconsideration of value. And those of you all can take one and pass those around. And it just kind of tells you some of the things that you need to do. It's a quick tool with reconsideration of value. If I don't have enough of them, y'all can take a picture. And this is a short handout on, no, I don't have enough of these. These are heirs property. So if you can pass those around, everybody can take a picture of it. Maybe have it. Or you can go to our website. Y'all can reach out to me if you would like to, and if you would like us to schedule something coming to your town, or if you want to just go to the website. Young lady in the corner, it's your turn, I believe.
My name is Felicia Davis. I'm a member of the Washington County.
These are two different ones, okay?
Which Washington?
Take a picture. Take a picture.
And I'm fairly new, I'm here to learn, but I remember one of our county leader, Richard Turner, he used to always tell us about this community, black community,
Tybee Island.
No.
Oh. Okay.
It's a black community where they put a railroad track in the middle of, down the street in the middle of a community. Like houses here, railroad track there, houses there. And he was saying that was, they used to form a lot, like get together and when it rained and they got together for, you know, decided like what they want to fight for justice, and it was like their meeting place.
Have you ever heard of Lake Lanier here in Georgia? It used to be called Oscarville. They flooded the whole town, and so it's always, they say it's haunted. You can still find graves, houses, and everything. So it's been intentional, and it's stories like that all across the country. Young brother that's filming.
My name is Kyrie. I grew up in Montgomery County, Maryland, Silver Spring. I'm also a farmer. former an insurance agent and fitness instructor, so kind of trying to be a solution for this next generation to kind of fill the gaps and learn from you all. So, just doing a little bit of research while you guys are talking. I know 495 displaced a lot of communities, particularly in Eugene County, and then I did a little research on, I guess, US 40 in Baltimore. That was not completed, and also displaced like thousands of Black residents in that upper part of Maryland, and it was actually campaigned to kind of be stopped in its construction by white residents. So these cases are definitely prevalent within the Maryland region.
I'm glad to see you. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that you'll be able to learn the history, and you are the answer. So we have to collectively pour into you and your generation. And like I'm going to tell you like my grandma told me, God gave 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And so you here, so that shows that you are already tapped in, and I'm very proud of you. So thank you for coming. Can we get a young brother a round of applause?
Our congregation, Maryland.
Okay, all right.